Last month, my wife and I only went on vacation. Both of us hadn't traveled together for more than 2 years. As soon as we got chance to go to get away from it all, from daily routines, work, and kids, we packed our bags and left New York to go abroad. We found it hard to pick a travel destination that will suit both of us. We gave a lot of thoughts and talked it over, and finally agreed that we will visit China. My wife has Chinese roots, so her grandmother came from China to US and married an American citizen. So Jessica was interested in learning more about the Chinese culture and tracing her family history. A couple of her relatives live in Shanghai, and we planned to pay them a visit. At first, I wasn't so enthusiastic about going there, but after I did, I, after a little search on the internet and read about Chinese natural wonders and historical landmarks, I was fascinated by the beauty of this country. I also wanted to try out authentic Chinese cuisine, so the choice was made, and we were going to a trip to China. We usually opt made ready-made tours, package tours, but this time we wanted to have freedom and flexibility. So we planned the trip on our own, without any tour operators. We bought tickets online and booked hotels in Shanghai and Beijing. We were planning to get to China, two capitals, China first, then spend a few days in Shanghai and meet my wife's relatives, and then we could see giant pandas in Beijing. After a plane would take us to the United States. For American to visit China, one needs to get a visa. So we filled our applications form and got travel insurance and applied for a multiplicate entry visa to China. Now we have long-term Chinese visas valid until 2028. That means we don't need to exchange for them another 10 years, because we are going to visit China again. We were both rather nervous on the night before our flight. We left the kids at their grandparents' home and asked our friend to take care of our dog. Jessica spent a few hours packing our baggage and making sure she put everything that we need. We had medications, all kind of illness, and clothes and shoes for any types of weather, raincoats, sunglasses, sunscreen. Traveling light was never an option. I always had trouble falling asleep before flight, so I stayed up late reading a Lonely Planet Chinese guide. The next morning we woke up late and we got dressed in a hurry, skipped our breakfast, and hailed a taxi to the airport. We were afraid we would get stuck in a traffic jam and we would miss our flight. When we arrived at the airport, it turned out we had nothing to worry about because all the flights were delayed due to the severe storm. Staying on the bright side, we told ourselves that at least they were not cancelled altogether, and we were happy that we had a direct flight. So for the next few hours we sat in a cafe, drinking coffee and waiting for the storm to be over. At last we checked in for our flight and got our boarding pass. Our bags were check-in were weighed, and we had to pay for the extra baggage as Jessica had cramped so much stuff in our suitcase. So then we got in line to go through airport security. They checked if we had any. They checked our bags, and my wife had a bottle of perfume in her bag, so we had to throw it out. So we proceeded to boarding gate and sat there waiting for a boarding call. Finally, we got on a plane. Almost 4 hours later than scheduled. The flight lasted 13 hours. Luckily, none of us had an aisle seat. Jessica sat by the window, and I sat next to her. I got up on sleep and read my Chinese phrase book while she was watching comedy on her tablet. We arrived in Beijing, went through customs and immigrations, and get our package. At first, we considered renting a car and go and get to city center, but we both felt so exhausting after flight, so we decided to get a taxi to our hotel. We checked in at the reception. There was a little misunderstanding at first. The receptionist couldn't find our names in their database. She didn't speak English very well, and that complicated matters even further. Luckily enough, being armed with my Chinese phrase book, I managed to explain that we have a reservation for a double room on booking.com. So it turned out they misprinted our names. The problem was fixed immediately, and I paid for our room by credit card, and we were all set. Then we went to ATM to withdraw some cash and headed to the center to explore the city. Also, we exchanged some dollars to yuan, as it's easy to pay with cash in different places like markets, taxi, and small cafes. The next few days flew by. It was in a blur because we were jet lagged for the first day or two, and then we got used to the different time zone. We went sightseeing. We hired a Chinese speaking tour guide who showed us famous attractions. Then we got high-speed train to the bay to Shanghai, where we got to meet my wife's relatives, who turned out to be nice and hospitable people. We enjoyed this city too. We went to museums, and on some days we were looking around of our town. We took a lot of pictures, and Jessica made a video for her YouTube channel. The vacation lasted for 2 weeks, but it seemed like 2 days. So we were happy, and that we escaped from our daily routines, and we both of us have a huge we are very wonderful, because we met great people, and saw China in her beauty and diversity. So I can say that I can strongly recommend this. You should go and see this country with your own eyes.